welcome to another episode. My name is Van.
I'm Jiggy.
I'm May.
Yes, we're here with a special guest today. Her name is May. And we brought May on to talk about basically her experience with therapy. She's been in it for a super long time. And we thought it was about time we get, a nigga on to talk about their experience. So, welcome, May. All right. Jiggy, do you want to start out asking May a question and I'll let her use my mic?
Yeah, first off, how are you doing today?
I am good. How are you, Miss Jiggy?
I'm doing good. I slept all day, so I'm feeling real relaxed. Nice Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So, how are you doing, Van? We should start with how we're doing with
this
people.
mic shit crazy. I'm doing good. I might. It's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Back into our questions. May, tell us about your journey with therapy. When did you start?
So I started going to therapy probably around age 9. I remember I was in 4th grade, and originally, I really didn't like it just because of the reasons I was going to therapy at the time. I wasn't really ready to open up about it, and I think my mom knew, and that's kind of why she wanted to put me in therapy. It was really uncomfortable at first because I had a lot of white therapists, a lot of white women therapists, and they made me so uncomfortable. I couldn't really relate to them, so my mom just kept switching me in and out of different places. I would tell her no, I don't really like that lady. At first it was just I don't like therapy in general, and then I started telling her, okay, well, I don't really like her, I don't really like how she was going about it, and my mom would be like, okay. And so eventually we started going to a family therapist. She was a Muslim Iraqi woman from California. She was probably my favorite growing up just because, I don't know, I felt the most comfortable with her. Maybe it was because she was Muslim. And then after that, we stopped going to see her because she had moved to California. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't able to provide us services anymore. So then I can't really remember what happened after that time period, but I remember I think I took a break from therapy for a little bit, and then more towards my freshman year of high school, I told my mom, I'm actually thinking, maybe I do need to be back in therapy. My parents are divorced, and my mom was really the only one I express myself emotionally, and I didn't live with her, so it just got to a point where I was like, okay, I need extra support. I need somebody who's outside of my family, because my mom's too busy, how life gets. So I started going to North Point Health and Wellness Center on the north side off of Penn Avenue. Hands down one of my favorite places, not functionality wise, but it's really hard to get a hold of the behavioral health department, and they have a probationary period too. If you miss a certain amount of appointments or you cancel within 24 hours, then they put you on a 3-month probation. And I remember one time I had been put on a 3-month probation because I missed a couple of sessions, and I was going through it for that 3 motherfucking months, boy. I was like, hold on, now y'all done cut me off. This is not okay. I was struggling. I sure told her that too when we picked back up. I was like, girl, I learned my lesson. I'm gonna start going to these appointments on time, I promise you. But the only thing that has really shifted my therapy experience has definitely been COVID, because I no longer get to see my therapist in person now. It's all over the phone. So she calls me and we talk over the phone. But the therapist I have now is definitely my favorite therapist. I've been with her probably since I was a freshman in high school, maybe a sophomore. So probably 2013, 2014-ish kind of area. But she's black and she's 30 something, I would say maybe early 30s. It's kind of like talking to an older aunt, you know, like she's really cool. She cusses, like, you know, we be going back and forth like niggas ain't shit, whoop de whoop. Like, it's really like she's definitely my forever therapist. Like, I do not want to sever this relationship with her. Like, she knows so much about me, and it's crazy because you would think, well, they take notes in their sessions. Like, I forgot about that because I'll be like, how the fuck she remember what the fuck I told her? It's like they're taking notes on the session. So like, I really appreciate her because I feel like I've definitely had a lot of therapists who were like judgy, or I don't know, they just gave me really bad vibes. Like, I had a therapist in Texas who basically like used to slut shame me all the time, but because I would tell her like, I think I'm using sex as like a coping mechanism, or you know, I think the way that I'm using sex right now is like harmful towards me, and I don't know how to navigate this. Like, this is something I need help with. Can you help me? And she was like, you're a hoe. And I was like, I know that. Can you help me? Like, can we navigate this together? Literally. So I've had some I've had some really awful therapy experiences, but one thing I will always say I'm really thankful for is my mom putting me in therapy at such an early age, just because like I'm very good at articulating my emotions, which is also a negative thing because I know what I'm doing, and I'd be like, I know what I'm doing.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
Right. And I will suffer the consequences. But yeah.
Look at here, the consequences of my actions. I was trying to remember that TikTok.
Well, look who it is.
There we go.
Okay, so you started super young in therapy. Obviously, shit was going on or whatever. But I'm wondering, what was like the goal of therapy back in the day, or even compared to like your freshman year, compared to now? Like, what were your goals, and how did they change throughout your therapy experience?
So coming into therapy was definitely processing the traumatic events that happened in my childhood. Like, there were two main ones that was originally my focus. And I have anger issues, as y'all already know. But it was also like managing my anger, because I noticed as a child I was angry all the time, but anger was just my secondhand emotion. Like, I would be feeling other things, but anger is what shows the most. Like, me and my mama was throwing ducks, boy. Like, we was going back and forth. I was like, bitch, I'm so fucking tired of you. And I would be talking to my therapist like, I really am tired of her, but I was sad because she did this and this and this. Yeah. And that was my goal originally, and now it's kind of just become, the goal has switched from processing those traumatic events, because I'm not going to say that, like, you know, I don't really talk about them anymore, but like my therapy journey like has really helped me with those two traumatic episodes or events or whatever. Like, so that I no longer feel the need to address them, you know, just because I've been in therapy for such a long time, and like we've discussed it so much that like it no longer has the hold on me that it did when I first went into therapy. But now it's more focusing on healthy coping mechanisms. Like, I noticed that, you know, as I continued therapy and as I became more and more emotionally intelligent, I was abusing that. You know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm emotionally intelligent, because I know what I'm feeling. I keep it pushing. Like, I address it. Oh yeah, this is what I'm feeling. But, you know, like,
you're like intellectualizing it.
Yes. And it's like I'm not really focusing on working through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just speaking it into the air. I'm, you know, acknowledging it, and I'm moving on. And that's why.
Feeling the feelings.
Yes. And that's why I'm in therapy now. I would say that's how it's changed.
Relatable.
One thing about just something I've noticed about people and like their positive, well, no, not positive, more so their negative behaviors, is a lot of people think that just if they acknowledge it, like, oh yeah, I know that I'm a fucking bitch in the morning, or, you know, I know that I do XYZ, whatever. They think that just because they say it, or like say it out loud, that like it negates it, or like it does anything about it. But like you just said it, like, you're still a fucking bitch in the morning. Like, you have to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like,
figure
just because you acknowledge the behavior, it doesn't like absolve yourself of like how it affects other people. So that's real, you acknowledging that. But bitch, me too, damn. It's hard to not intellectualize your emotions, because you're like, okay, yeah, I can see what I'm on, I can see what I'm doing. but like do something about it. Feel the emotions. Yeah. Damn.
Feeling emotions are hard. I would just rather not.
Yeah. I feel like there's I was gonna say I feel like it's also difficult to identify like what your emotions are. When you were talking about like anger was kind of like just the easiest emotion, you know. I don't know, I feel like I was reading something about, or I don't know if this is just my opinion or if I got it from somewhere, but it was talking about how anger is like an easier emotion, but it is like a secondary emotion, and like underlying, you know, your anger is really like frustration or disappointment or sadness or anything like that, but it's easier to be angry. That's all I'll say about that.
Like the vulnerability to tell someone like, hey, what you did made me sad, versus like, bitch, you got me fucked up.
Exactly.
It's different.
Lord have mercy. Like that's literally the main reason I got into therapy, was because like I was lashing out at all my family members all the time. Like me and my mom was getting into it. I was getting into it with everybody. Like me and my brother didn't have a good relationship. Like that was the main reason I got into therapy, was because I could not process any emotion other than anger. Like I would be angry and I would stay angry and I will bottle everything up, and then somebody triggers something and then I just blow up.
True Scorpio.
So for processing your anger specifically, like even now, like at your big age, what have you learned as a more productive like coping mechanism, instead of like doing what we're used to doing, which was like lashing out or like not making the best decisions? What does that look like now?
Well, now it's more of like a thought process. Like I immediately identify what's underneath the anger. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I have been irritated last week, but I was irritated because my workout didn't go how I wanted it to go, and I was irritated because another thing didn't go how I wanted it to go. But I walk myself through things like, okay, you are angry for no reason. Like this is something that's out of your control, and you're wasting time being angry when you can just keep it pushing and move along. Address it, feel it in that moment, and then when you're done feeling it, push through it.
That's some good advice.
I would just lay down on the floor behind the scenes. I wish that we could pan over, but we're not gonna do that. But just know, say what's up. There she go. Hey. Anyway, okay, so what are you still seeking to learn in therapy? Like your birthday's coming up. May will be 24 next weekend.
24,
Shout out
24,
Scorpios. So like you've been in therapy for forever. What do you still want to learn about yourself, or what do you still want to know from your ongoing journey in therapy?
The one thing that I love about my therapy journey personally is that it went from like addressing specific situations to now that I'm at the point where those situations are no longer the highlight of my therapy journey. It's kind of been just dealing with the day-to-day, like dealing with the events that come up, dealing with the emotions that are brought up that I have trouble dealing with. Like especially with my birthday coming around, I feel like everybody really talks about birthday depression, and birthday depression is really real. Ooh. It's something I've never really felt until I got older. Like as I'm going through the 20s, like I'm starting to feel it more and more. But honestly, I haven't been in therapy for the last couple months. I had.
We're supposed to have it in.
It's okay because you did the work. Okay. The work has been done.
No. Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Like schedule changes. I like have changed jobs. Mm-hmm. Like I've had 2 jobs within the last like 3 months.
Insurance
so,
too.
like it's just been a lot, and my schedule hasn't really aligned up to the to where I want it to be at, where I can have, because we do bi-weekly appointments. So I canceled one and I haven't rescheduled one since, but like I start to feel the effects of not going to therapy. Like when I take breaks for a couple months, or I forget to reschedule an appointment after, I had to cancel one or something, I can feel the effects. Like I can feel myself starting to get a little manic, or like my thoughts are so like all over the place because I don't have that channel of me and her, and it's all about me. You know what I'm saying? Because when you vent to your friends, you vent to them and they vent into you. It's an exchange. You know what I'm saying? Not that like it shouldn't be, but like,
but friends aren't like professionals to help you with your issues, right? You know? They could like give advice, but their advice is like always biased too.
But yeah,
just need freedom.
We also have Momo behind the scenes making sound effects. He's actually gnawing on his foot right now. It's crazy.
What? It's crazy. He's just going nuts on his big toenail. Just
anyway. Let me know. I'm just playing, y'all. I'm just kidding. Why am I so silly? I'm just kidding. Anyway, I was gonna say I had therapy. What day is it? Today's Sunday. I had therapy Friday morning. Yeah, I had therapy Friday morning. And one of the conversations that me and my therapist had. Also, I've been thinking about switching shorty. When you said, especially when you were like, it feels like a older auntie relationship and the way that you guys speak to each other, I'm like, that's what I want. Yeah. My therapist's name, should I say? I have a therapist. Anyway, I was like, shout out her. But she's a white woman in her 30s, and like she's nice, like she's cool. But I don't think that she, como se dice, like challenges me enough a little bit kind of in my thinking. Like I'd be finishing her sentences sometimes. I'm like, I know. Okay, fast forward, whatever. But the conversation we had was kind of one of those like classic conversations that you see on Twitter. You always see niggas on Twitter like, oh my God, my therapist just said the realest shit. And she said this shit to me. I was like, bitch, you get this from Twitter? I was like, what the hell? But no, Twitter. She was like, yeah, man. So, you know, like where you're at right now, no, whatever, you know, it sounds like from your childhood, XYZ, whatever. So now that your life is peaceful and, you know, secure, you know, that type of security can feel foreign because, you know, you're used to chaos. Bitch. And I was like, yes. I was like, haven't you heard that on Twitter, number one? And also, two, I was like, yeah. But I was like, damn, she really saying that to me right now?
Security is foreign. It's
literally. I was like, damn, that's crazy. I was like, other people go through this? Because I'm sure she's telling this to everybody who comes in. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is textbook, you know, explanation, whatever. But I say that to say, like, I've seen them online before. I've seen that on Tumblr. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen, like, that sentiment. And I was like, I was like, no way, that's not me. And my therapist told me that. And I was like, maybe. But I was like, is that what this is? I don't know. Sometimes when you realize things or when you really take that step to, like, acknowledge it, you're like, I don't want that to be me. No.
It's like you'll read something from years ago and it hits different, like, when you're older. Like, I think I read something, or maybe I came up with it.
Right?
I don't know. And it was like no one taught me how to be like 20 whatever. And so each year that goes by, I'm like slowly learning by myself like how to be like this 20-year-old like woman. And you know, the past year, like I've had like a lot of joy in my life. And coming from chaos, like I did not know how to like appreciate that or be present, or I'm like, when the other shoe finna drop, like
yeah, no. Yeah, I feel that. Lately, one of my like new quotes, like new I don't know how I should be saying shit, but one of my new things is like if I'm feeling like really I don't know if it's just bored or something like that, I say that I'm feeling young and restless because I'm like, I just need something going on. And now that I'm talking about it, especially out loud, I feel like that's the little itch in my brain, the little itch I need to scratch of like some drama. I hate to say it, some drama. But, you know, it's just a little spice, a little something to talk about with the girls. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe I should just pull a prank. A prank will always scratch that itch. Not the eye roll. You just be mad because you don't want to be getting pranked.
I'm a victim. That's you.
I am
Surviving
a victim.
Savannah.
You're a victim.
You are a terrorist.
Anyway, yeah.
Man, I've got a new therapist. My therapist is on maternity leave, and it's just a really hard adjustment. Like going and it's like trying to find a new therapist, and I'm a therapy baddie. I'll be like, I love going to therapy. I love talking about my problems. But now that I have to like start over with a new person, I'm like, I ain't even gonna lie to you. Like I don't even want to talk to you right now. And it ain't nothing like they really did. It was more like, someone on TikTok made like a PowerPoint of like their trauma. And I've been thinking about doing that for this therapist because, like, I just don't want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to leave off where I left off with my last therapist, but I can't because she not her. She not you. So I've been skipping therapy. But it's okay. But I read this book on boundaries.
Okay.
Which is our topic for tonight.
Whoop whoop.
What are y'all definitions of boundaries?
I'm passing the mic. Okay. So basically, I took some notes on the topic just so it wasn't just my own personal opinions dictating the conversation. But just to start out with my own opinion, boundaries are basically kind of like your guidelines for how people can and cannot interact with you, and that goes with like family relationships, like workplace relationships, everything like that. It's literally like what is going to happen, what's not going to happen, and it's different for everyone, and it's going to look different for everyone. But I feel like boundaries like are being talked about more like on social media, and like people are kind of becoming more cognizant of like, okay, this is what this looks like. Oh damn, I have weak ass boundaries, or damn, I have really strong boundaries. You know, that's a plus. But yeah, let's talk about it. What's your definition of boundaries, May?
I pass the mic because I really do actually struggle with boundaries, especially setting them. Like I said before, a lot of the times, or a lot of the situations in which I've had to set boundaries, I was angry because like I didn't address the emotion underneath the anger, and so I set those boundaries in that moment of anger. And that's kind of my issue, is I don't really notice something really bothers me until it makes me angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it doesn't irritate me, then it doesn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, like, I feel like it's a lot easier to set boundaries within your personal relationships than it is with strangers, kind of. Because like, one thing about me, I don't like to talk to people I don't know. So like, if a stranger is irritating me, it's easier for me to set a boundary with them, but it depends on the friend too. I feel like, you know, that's my issue, is like, you have different relationships with different friends, and with some friends it's easier to set boundaries or easier to talk about things than others. You know what I'm saying? So I struggle with boundaries, so I don't really have like a set definition, but I would piggyback off of what you said, like what is gonna happen and what's not gonna happen.
Period. What is and what ain't gonna happen. Same definition. I realized, so I was reading this book, and it's by, it's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Twabin. I'm so sorry, girl. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
We'll throw the book up above us. Throw it up. There it is.
Anyway, she's talking about this. One of the chapters in the book was like talking about boundaries, like family, and like family teaches you all about like boundaries. And she was like, one of the reflection questions was like, how were boundaries set in like your home, like as a child? So like in my house, like as a kid, like I wasn't allowed to tell like my mom no, and like I could see how that like affects me in the future, because it's like I don't feel like I can tell people no. And then you can apply that to like any like scenario, and it's just like, it's not good. I'm not like happy. So I had to learn like how to tell people like no. And then just like setting boundaries with like family for me was like really hard. I got to a point where it's like, it ain't none cut a bitch off, because this is my life. You're not gonna ruin my human experience. But it'd be hard because they're your family. But I feel like for friends, something I'm learning now is like friends and like romantic relationships, like how to like set those boundaries, because I feel like that's where they show up like the most. Like when it comes to like venting to friends, like something she talked about in the book is like, you vent, you problem solve, or like you ruminate. And like I learned after reading this book, like I need to set boundaries with my friends when it comes to like ruminating, because like I ain't finna listen to you complain about your nigga for like the 40th time this week, because it's making me look at him sideways. And my Sagittarius, if I don't like somebody, you finna know. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying you can't like talk to me about like your nigga problems, but if you like, you know, really not shit, and you just not like, you know what I'm saying? You just want to complain about it, go talk to a professional, because I'm gonna tell you to leave your nigga. And like that's where I run into problems in relationships, because people don't want, not you telling me to leave my man, like not y'all think I was gonna leave my man.
I can see how that makes sense.
You know,
that makes sense to me.
I'm so sorry. Like,
why are you apologizing?
Because you over there like,
that makes sense to me.
Is it me?
No, it's facts. I had an experience similar to that one, and okay. My friends were saying similar things to one of my relationships and things like that. And yeah, what you saying makes sense, Jiggy. Hell yeah. Anyway, one thing about me, I'm gonna set a boundary.
Yeah.
I feel like also boundary setting and how that comes off to people also kind of has a lot to do with body politics or like aesthetics or appearance, even outside of like friendships and things like that. I feel like a lot of the times in the past, the way that I've set boundaries, even with like some of my closest friends at the time, has resulted in how they view me as like a strong, independent black woman, or you know, Miss Captain Save a Hoe, whatever. I feel like when I set those boundaries, it's perceived differently than if I were to look like a different way. Like yeah, I don't know, but I also feel like with your closest interpersonal relationships, the people that are closest to you see they get the worst sides of you. Like they see the shittiest times, and like I don't know, like I think about it with like sibling relationships. Like you'll always love your sibling, and they'll, you know, you'll always be there for them, but like you and your sibling probably butt heads so fucking hard and so often, everything like that. And I'm like, why do we do that? Like, why are niggas set up that way? Like, why is it that the niggas closest to us get like the shittiest like parts of us, you know? I don't know. But anyway, going back to my original point of one thing about me is I'm going to set a boundary. I don't know. I feel like
I'm thinking of like one thing about me, I'm going to have to drink.
Exactly. Yeah, I think boundary setting is really important, like laying down like the groundwork for like I was saying earlier, like what's gonna happen, what's not gonna happen, and like what you're gonna accept as a person and what's unacceptable. And yeah, boundary setting is really important. In my notes it says that in general, the key to setting boundaries is first figuring out what you want from your various relationships, setting boundaries based on those desires, and then being clear with yourself and other people about your boundaries. Another quote that I have down here in my notes is, it's impossible to set boundaries without setting consequences. That is a huge thing that I have learned in my journey of setting boundaries. Like either this is going to happen, or you know, you don't get access to me in this way anymore, or I can't show up for you in this way anymore. Like you can't set boundaries without you know, something changing if they're broken. You know, if that line is crossed, something has to change about that relationship with that person. So I feel like that's another just important thing. Oh, that's me. Anyway, so yeah, I was just saying that I don't know, it's really hard to set boundaries also, like you were saying, May, sometimes with the closest people around you, because you don't want to step on toes, or it feels kind of embarrassing, like sticking up for yourself, or it's maybe just something that you're not really familiar with, and you don't want the people close to you, your niggas, to look at you like you're being a hard ass or you're being too sensitive or anything like that. But ultimately, like boundary setting and like sticking up for yourself is ultimately like just self-respect. Like I respect myself too much to let you treat me this way, or to have so much access to me where it makes me uncomfortable or anything like that. But it also is easier said than done. Like you have to practice that shit, but like you can choose yourself. But bitch, it's easier said than done. Damn. Now got classes on self-respect.
Listen, we're gonna start hosting them on Mondays.
Exactly.
At 7 p.m.
We'll see you there.
Yes. So like there's different types of boundaries. So physical boundaries, your body, personal space, sexual orientation. Is this what? Okay. And privacy. Sorry, I can't like read and talk. Anyway, there's like physical boundaries, right? So like for me, like in friendships, like what's okay with like certain types of like touch. Like with me, my love language is like touch. But with some of my friends, it's like I don't like to be touched. So I have to respect that boundary of like, hey, not to touch this person. Or like with your partner, like there's certain things that like cross like physical boundaries. if that makes sense. And trying to set those are like really difficult. And then emotional boundaries. So like this includes like beliefs, behaviors, choices, sense of responsibility, and intellectual boundaries. So like just people not respecting like your belief system, or just like care like what you have to say. Like you don't have to be like disrespectful like after like I say something and you'd be like, oh, you stupid bitch. Like ouch. So how to set some boundaries. Some tips that I got from this book is to be assertive, especially as like femme people. Like whenever you're like assertive, people kind of want to like associate you as a bitch, and I'm gonna be a bitch too. You know what I'm saying? Because my boundaries is like how I feel safe in the world, and I realized that I lack poor boundaries. So I had like a lot of social anxiety because whenever I'd go out, I feel like people would cross my boundaries because that's just like the experience that I've had. So that made me like really socially anxious. And then I realized like, no, like I could leave. Bitch, I got my own car. I could leave. You know,
literally. I'm done.
And then also something is like practicing, like if you were to set a boundary with like, let's say an old friend, your entire relationship went, and then you like had to set this boundary, so you're gonna probably have to like repeat it to that person just so like they learn. But there's like a difference of like, hey, I'm sorry, like I didn't realize, versus like them trying to gaslight you into like it's not even that serious. Also, so another thing to take into consideration when you set a boundary is being okay with like people's feelings about it. Like you're not responsible for anybody's feelings. Like if I set something with you and you got a problem with that, that has everything to do with you and nothing to do with me. Plus, bitch, you was benefiting off that lack of boundary. So are we really friends?
Period.
And then the last note that I have was not to take anything personal. Everybody is projecting their inner world. Ain't shit got to do with you. But I feel like everything has to do with me. So I'll be like, was that about me?
Bitch, not to look over. Why you do that?
I was saying
Because I was going to say, me too. Bro, low-key, it's hard to not take things personally.
yeah.
Because why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that
that's
to
loud.
me?
Why would you do that?
Why would you do
Literally,
that?
why would you do that? The world may never know. But also, another thing, just to piggyback off what that was, Jiggy.
Clubhouse.
Literally. Well, Mike. Anyway, I was gonna say one thing that I've learned in my therapy journey that I was just talking about my therapist with the other day was control issues. And I was talking about like the same sentiment of like, why did you do that? You know, like not knowing, you know, shit like that. Like my therapist was saying like, she basically was like, it's giving control issues. She was like, you need to figure that out or like identify that. And I don't think I was ready to hear that. I was like, what do you mean by that? What are you trying to say? But damn, like, I don't know. I saw a meme and it was like the feminine urge to know why. And I was like, exactly.
Because
I just want to know why.
But it's knowing why really gonna help you out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because people just do terrible things, and it's just because it's a Tuesday.
Just because it's a Tuesday.
Just because it's a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
And if it's a male species, some niggas don't think.
Yeah.
They just do.
Crazy, evil, kooky world we live in. But damn, yeah, I feel like that also goes with saying like accepting things. Like you can't change everything. You have no control over a lot of the things that happen like to you. It's really just more about how you push past and just get through it, you know? Like I guess we don't have to know everything. Why people do every single thing they do.
Why?
Thing they do. Exactly. Anyway.
To piggyback off of that, I think that's something I definitely really had to learn in therapy was losing that control or like letting go of that control, because that was something I struggled with as a kid. Like anytime anything didn't go my way as a kid, I would throw a fit. Like I was very emotional, and that was something I learned in therapy, you know, like letting go, like you can't control everything. And I feel like that was also something my mom had to help me learn as well. Like I was also learning in therapy, but my mom was drilling it into me. Like you need to understand that you cannot control every single situation, and it's not going to go your way, and that's going to be okay. And I feel like having that boundary set early while I was in therapy has helped me, you know, navigate it where I am now, because I will say I still do have control issues. Obviously everybody wants everything to go their own motherfucking way, right? My way or the highway, right?
Queen Key,
right? Come on. Exactly. But that's just not the reality, and I feel like that's something that I'm very happy that I learned, because it really helps you take things less personally, you know what I'm saying? And the one thing that I really love about being in therapy is like I can walk myself through things now a lot easier than I could earlier, or like, you know, earlier in my childhood or in my life. Like if I'm feeling some kind of way about something, this is where, like, you know, intellectualizing your emotions comes into play, because I can recognize what I'm feeling and then I can break it down. And once I've addressed that and I've broken it down, I feel a lot better about it, because now I know how I'm truly feeling. And, you know, if I really feel like I need to dig into it more, I will in my next therapy session or something like that.
Getting into it.
I cannot. It
starts in the home.
I cannot let shit go. One thing about me, why did you do that?
Yeah, I was just about to say, grudges. It's hard. Okay, is it holding a grudge, or am I just holding that person accountable and feeling how I feel about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, you did actually do that shit and I'm gonna be mad about it because I have the right to be. You know what I'm saying? Am I holding a grudge? Am I really drinking poison and it's only gonna hurt me? Or nigga, fuck you.
It like depends,
Miss Ma'am.
Because if you're like, ruminating about it, you
yeah.
know, like feel your feelings, but like if you're ruminating, you're stuck in it, you know, then I feel like it's like an issue.
There's a difference.
But like definitely niggas ain't shit, hold niggas accountable, grudge. But when it gets to the point where it's like it only affects you, because like holding a grudge, like it really ain't gonna affect niggas.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And it's all about like you and like having self boundaries with yourself. Like, I'm only gonna allow myself to feel this for like 20 minutes and then I need to move on from this, and like not judging yourself for like taking that 20 minutes to feel that. So like just having self boundaries for myself, like I'm just gonna feel this feeling, and then I'm gonna go treat myself or like do this activity. I feel like that's maybe a difference.
No, that sounds like a good system for like holding space for your emotions and then being like, okay, it's time to come up out of this, time to come up off this, because we ain't finna do this all day. Yeah. Nope. Ruining my human experience. Nope. Oh, I feel that. Also, just kind of on the topic of like ruminating over things or et cetera. Actually, I don't know if this is relevant, but fuck it, we ball. Anyway, I was just gonna say one thing that I'm also trying to get better at in like terms of like holding people accountable is like not making excuses for other people. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like mindset is a really big and important part of like how you process situations, or like, what is it called? Assuming the best or the best intentions from people, or, you know, if there is a situation, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know, kind of what I was talking about, like holding people accountable, or, you know, did it or whatever. I don't want to make excuses for people anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've tried to have
where they at.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly, Jiggy. Exactly. Literally that part. Yeah, I feel like there's a fine line between like making excuses for people and then also like recognizing the situation or the characteristics as they were, as it was, and just being okay with it. But it's hard. I'll go journal about it. We'll get through it. Bitch, I don't journal. You know what I do? I make TikToks. Yeah, you will not catch me.
We should get you a journal.
I don't like it. Doesn't work for me. My therapist told me to make TikToks. Journaling, it doesn't hit the same.
I feel it.
As the endorphins that I get from hearing myself talk.
I started making video vlogs.
Literally.
I can't watch them because like I hate the sound of my voice. I hate my handwriting, but I'm a journal. But like,
it's the handwriting. That's why I can't do it.
I feel that because if it's not aesthetically pleasing, I don't want to hear about it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to look at it.
But like when I make video vlogs, like they be 30 minutes, and I'll be like they'd be an hour. I'd be like, damn, bitch, like, how much did you talk?
You had to let it out. Had to go somewhere. Better out than in. That's what Shrek said.
Your TikToks are very funny. I enjoy them.
Thank you. Yeah, they're good. Not everyone agrees with them, but
listen.
Anyway,
let your haters be your motivators.
Yeah. Anyway, circling back to the topic of boundaries, we've kind of talked about like how to set boundaries, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, our own personal definitions. But I want to talk about what unhealthy boundaries are characterized by. So basically, unhealthy boundaries look like sharing too much or too soon, or at the end of the spectrum, closing yourself off and not expressing your needs or wants, kind of letting people walk all over you, going with the flow a little bit too much to the point where it puts you in a worse position than you were in, beforehand. Feeling responsible for others' happiness, the inability to say no for fear of rejection or abandonment. Unhealthy boundaries also look like a weak sense of your own identity. You base how you feel about yourself on how others treat you. And then lastly, disempowerment. You allow others to make decisions for you. Consequently, you feel powerless and do not take responsibility of your own life. I feel like I definitely identified with a lot of these characteristics. I don't know. I wouldn't say anytime recently, but I can definitely see myself in like a lot of these sentiments from kind of like my high school era, like 14, 15. This shit was bussin' internally back then. But I don't know. I feel like one of the ways that like I kind of came up off of that, because I would say that I've been pretty adamant about being outspoken for myself, whatever, for a while now. But I don't know, I was going to say, I feel like one of the things that helped me come up off of that is like the sentiment of like choosing yourself and like really believing in your own like self-worth and literally just worthiness. Like, you let a nigga slide, they start ice skating. We cannot allow it. But yeah, I've had a lot of friendships that have ended like back in that time and even like in the past like 3 or so years. And I feel like, it just comes down to setting those boundaries of like what you're going to tolerate, what's going to slide, what's not going to slide. And also just like open communication of like talking to people. Because sometimes with friends, you kind of assume what's going on as opposed to like laying it down all on the table. Like, no, Miss May, this is what I like. This is what we're not going to do. This is what I'm comfortable with. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Have you guys, I would say, been able to recognize maybe some unhealthy boundaries in yourselves?
I would say definitely one of my most unhealthiest boundaries of like what I've learned that I need to work on is like I said earlier, like I really gauge things on how much it affects me. Like if it doesn't affect me that much, if it's it affects me a little bit but not enough to really cause me any emotional harm or anything, then I let it slide. And I realized that I'm hurting myself and I'm thinking I'm protecting my peace by not speaking on it or letting it slide because it's not that big of a deal. And learning to speak on everything. Learning to speak on everything, like in any situation. Like if something made me feel some kind of way, I'm going to speak about it. And I feel like it took me a long time to learn about boundaries because I was already setting them because I just assumed that was being real. Like being a real ass person was being a real ass bitch is telling motherfuckers what you gonna tolerate and what you not gonna tolerate. One thing about me, you not gonna be able to disrespect me. Okay, like if it happens, I'll I feel like a lot of times you don't have to react to every situation. That's something I had to learn too. Is that not every situation deserves a reaction because my mom is a school teacher, okay? My mom teaches high school. And when I finally started going to school at the same school my mom worked at, and just seeing how she navigated, being a teacher rather than how I see her at home, I was like, how the fuck do you not let them kids get you out of body? And my mom told me, like, you can't react to everything or you can't let everything affect you. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers ain't gonna like you. Motherfuckers gonna talk to you any kind of way, but it's how you choose to respond in the situation, what you're allowing these people to, to make you feel. And it's like, I feel like there's such a gray line between like what you're allowing people to make you feel, quote unquote, and like what these niggas actually doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be disrespectful to me and I will, think about how I'm going to take it. But at the end of the day, you still being disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something I've really had like trouble navigating. It's like what deserves a reaction or what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It's really hard to gauge because people is crazy.
Yeah, you know, especially those on Facebook.
Bitches be crazy.
The Facebook folk live very different lives.
The Facebook folk. A lot of these unhealthy boundaries sound like codependency.
Yeah.
And that is something like I struggled with. So like not the inability to say no out of fear of like rejection or abandonment. I used to really be scared to like tell people no, because like I was allowed to tell people no growing up. And then also like, you know, I want to make like that person happy. But it's like if it's something I really didn't want to do, like, yeah, it was just like a dishonor to myself to be like, yeah, okay, sure, knowing damn well like I don't want to be there, or I don't want to do that, or I don't want, you know what I'm saying. And then there was another one. I don't know why this doesn't like stay long. Sharing too much or too soon with other people. And then like the spectrum. I feel like I went between both because like something that she touched on in the book, and it's something how like I was raised is like honesty. So like in my house, like we weren't really allowed to like have like secrets or anything like that. So like I felt like to have like a close relationship with someone is like for them to know like all about me, and you can't like do that in new friendships because it's like, bitch, like you trauma dumping,
Right.
and like it takes time for you to get to like that place with that person. But like I thought like that's just how you build connection. And so like I think that's like I figured that out in like college or high school. That's not what you do.
That's not.
And then I went to the spectrum. I'm like, no one needs to know anything about me. Like I'm mysterious.
Right.
Bro, it's so hard for
Who
me
is
to be
she?
mysterious.
I can't shut up.
No, I can't do it.
I want to be like, who is she so bad?
Yeah.
Y'all ever like fantasize about like let's say who is somebody? Y'all listen to B5? Okay, it's like, you know, they see me at the concert, but I'm acting disinterested. I can't even say the word. Thank you. And it's just like they're gonna notice.
Who
me.
is that girl?
Who is
Where is
she?
she from? Vibes. Yeah, that's never gonna be me.
It was never gonna be me.
Nah, it was not gonna be me. It was never
shut-
gonna be you. It was never gonna be you.
I can't shut up.
Yeah,
but I have
exactly.
learned, you know, the boundaries of like
Yeah.
what to tell people
And
what
what's
to
like
tell people.
appropriate, you know.
Yeah, and then coming out of quarantine helped a lot too, because I was really like socially awkward when I first came out, and I was like, how do I do this? I haven't talked to people in like forever, and went through like super traumatic event. So I was like, friends, let's start it.
Right.
Now I'm tired.
Yes.
It looked like you had something to say.
I didn't have anything to say. I just like listening. I feel like that's something about me. It's like I don't even try to be mysterious on purpose. Like if I don't know you, I literally do not have anything to speak to you about. Like especially going out with you, it's really been like very interesting navigating a space. Like I don't really consider myself introverted because like I'm extroverted around all my fucking friends. Then we get outside and Van be chatting it up with people, and they're like, "Oh, hi,
Van
what's
is
your
very
name?"
social.
And I'll be like, "I'm May. Nice to meet you."
I mean, like, why the fuck you talking to me like?
No kizzy. But you know, I feel like the one thing I really loved about being or like the friendships that I've recently developed is like I would say you and Liv have taught me a lot about boundaries, because like within my older friendships, like it took me a long time to set boundaries with them, or like, you know, I did like the situations aren't similar. Like the way in which I would navigate setting a boundary with other friends and the way that y'all have like navigated setting boundaries with me is something that's totally different. You know what I'm saying? Just because I feel like when you know somebody for such a long time, it's a lot harder to set boundaries. Like y'all been friends forever, and now you realize that you don't like this that they do, or you know, something of that sort. It's harder to talk about because y'all done been, you know, normalizing it forever. But I feel like the one thing I liked about being friends with you and Liv is like we are just getting to know each other, and navigating through that, y'all are telling me what you tolerate, or like what you like and what you don't like, and I really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Just just because like it taught me a lot. Like I've never had really any of my friends set a boundary with me about like in the way that I handle, you know, situations, you know, like it's always been like, I don't like that you do this. And, you know, I'm like, okay, I apologize kind of thing. But like, this is not how I want you to react to this, or this is not how I want you to respond. Like, I've never had a boundary set like that. And so like, when you set that boundary with me, I was like, wow, okay, it was new. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna talk about it later. But,
No, talk about it, please.
I mean, it's girl, well, you gonna figure it out. It's not like we gonna leave you out of the conversation.
I'm nosy too.
Okay.
Could use it in their own life.
Okay. Okay. So a hypothetical.
Okay.
So, like, for example, I feel like we come from two different families. Well, okay, I come from a African household where like emotions, I was raised around boys. So like, you know, I really didn't handle my emotions well growing up. And it's always, you know, tough times never last. Only tough people last. Literally, I have that written on my calendar. Like, that's how I navigate through life. It's not like, you know, I have learned that like, you know, that's something I feel like you've taught me is like, some people don't navigate the ways in which they address their emotions in which the ways you do. And that's something that I had to learn because all of my friends come from similar homes that I do. So we use these same coping mechanisms or we use that, you know, tough times never last, only tough people. And for somebody to be like, nigga, we not being tough. It was hard for me to wrap my motherfucking head around. Like, what you mean we not being tough? What else y'all do?
It's been a tough
like,
life.
So if we not tough,
I didn't know there was option number 2.
yeah, I'm like, so now there's a second option.
Tell
like,
more.
right? Let me learn more about this. That's something I definitely had to learn. Like, you know, like me and my friends growing up all deal with shit in a similar kind of way. You know, like. We take it with a grain of salt and we push through it. And to realize that there's other black women who you have so much in common with, but they handle their emotions in a different way, or you know they don't like the way that you handle it, or they don't want you to handle them the way that you handle yourself. That was really hard for me to learn, especially because it was so
Close to home.
yeah, so close to home. Like, me and all my friends have been through similar situations, you know, similar, you know, like family passings and all stuff like that. And like, just knowing that like there is other people don't deal with shit the way that you do. That was really interesting for me because I was so used to me and all my friends. Like, I feel like I've said the same thing 3 times, but like, it's crazy to wrap your head. It was crazy for me to wrap my head around because I was like, wow, like, she don't deal with this the way that I do. So, and I love her and I want to be there for her. So how do I fix the way that I'm dealing with this so that, you know, it fits what she wants? Because at the end of the day, like, I'm worried about you as a friend and I want to give my care and all my love to you. And now I have to figure out a way to do that. That's not something I know. It's not something that's familiar to me. Like, I have to be in a uncomfortable situation in order to make you feel better as a friend, because that's what I want you to feel better and I want to be there for you, you know? And that was really hard for me to navigate, but like, I even had to ask Liv, like, what are ways in which you would respond to a situation similar than this? Or like, what do you like, you know, asking questions, like, you got to dig deeper. Like, okay, so I'm now realizing this is not how I should go about this. How do you go about this? Show me, like, how is this, like, how do you navigate this? Or what can I learn from you? Like, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I missing? You know?
How can I be better?
Yes. How can I be better? That's the bottom line.
I love friendships where you just grow with each other. You teach each other shit.
One thing about, we're gonna talk about it. One thing about us is we're gonna talk through some shit, which I also can like agree. It's felt really easy just with like our, you know, you and I's relationship, you know, whatever. It seems pretty fluid in the way that we're able to like address things. Because I've obviously had, not obviously, bitch, you know, I've had, you know, experiences in the past where it's really hard to talk about what it is that's egging you on or whatever. Yeah. Hell yeah. High five.
That's good. I realize I be ghosting people, and that is not a good whatever. I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's a Sagittarius. Like people have like issues or like problems, and I'm like, that's just your problem. And in my mind, I'm setting like a self boundary because I'm like, I'm just not gonna entertain this because this is literally your issue. But then I don't give people like the space to like talk about it. It just like, it depends on what it is. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking, I thought of like a situation, and I was like, I could have gave that person room to talk, and then I was like, no, because I only got so much time on this earth. But I don't know. I realized like from this conversation, and even like reading that book, it's so good, y'all. Like, drag me by my pigtails. I need to work a lot more on like self boundaries too, and I feel like those are like the most important ones before I like look at like my family, my friends, and stuff like that. It's just like the boundaries I set with myself, just because like I don't think you really like realize until like you get into like mid-adulthood like how poor boundaries you have, because it's like, why am I having these relationships? Why am I like dating the same type of people? Mm-hmm. And it's just like, maybe it is you.
Maybe you're the problem.
Is it me? Am I the drama?
Literally.
But yeah.
I feel that. One thing that I've realized as I'm entering my 20s, I'm only 21, but like, what was I gonna say? Damn, the 21 it took me off my bag. But I think it was something along the lines of, I don't know, basically just kind of being what is the word, unapologetic when it comes to your boundaries. Like, especially with family, that's one thing that I've learned. Like, no matter our relationship, you don't get to do XYZ to me or treat me like this or whatever. Train of thought gone. May, you got it. Pass it. I'm throwing you.
Yeah, my thought was gone too. I just had one too. But I feel like self boundaries for sure is something that like I definitely have not been focusing on. Like one of the main reasons I got into therapy was because I felt like I did not know how to handle my own emotions, and I did not know how to process them. And I feel like I've definitely learned setting self boundaries, you know, through therapy. Like my therapist definitely always, she asks really good questions, and that's why I love her so much, because she's always challenging me, you know, like sometimes I feel like because I've been in therapy so long that like, what am I doing now? You know, like, what am I in therapy for? And then every time I have a session with her and I leave and I feel so much lighter, or like, you know, we get off the phone and I feel so much better. I'm like, this is why I'm in therapy, because I need this space. And I feel like a lot of times people think that something needs to happen to you in order for you to be in therapy. But like, I feel like everybody deserves to have a sound mind. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like therapy definitely really helps, like being able to have somebody there who's holding you accountable for your own emotions and like making sure you're processing what you're going through and you're holding yourself accountable. Like, that's what I really love about therapy.
Wow. I feel like that's a really good place to end out this episode. Thank you for that, May. 10 out of 10.
Thank
my
you.
Sister.
Thank
Thanks
you
for being
joining
on this episode. What Jiggy said. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
Good. She had a good time. Hell yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Miss May.